Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning. My name is Limi Mao from Nanjing Institute of Geology and Paleontology, Chinese Academy of Sciences. 大家好，我叫毛利米，来自南京地质古生物研究所。皆さんこんにちは。マオと言います。よろしくお願いします。안녕하세요. Mao Limi입니다. Today, I'm going to talk about pollen morphology of Nymphoides, focusing on sculpture diversity and intraspecific variation. Before I start my talk, can I show you a time-lapse video of Nymphoides flowers opening to express my deep appreciation of Eric Grimm's great scientific achievements? Please enjoy it. Thank you. One of my memories with Eric is about his great help with editing codes in TGX in last August. Actually, I did not set rare species for anyone in the spreadsheet, but it comes out plus and the smaller one comes with bar somehow. So I had to ask for help from Eric Grimm by Facebook messengers. Surprisingly, he gave me a very quick reply. Then he replied me by email again on how to change some codes in TGX document. This is Facebook Messenger window. This is the email from Eric Grimm. He told me how to change the codes. Then problem solved. Actually, one more thing is a tribute to Eric at the beginning of an online series meeting, Paleontology Short Talks, Session 5, in last November, just 2 days after Eric left us forever. This photo I took without his know during his break in the corner of Convention Center Dublin during Incircle meeting. Also, we briefly reviewed Eric's great contribution to quaternary science, particularly his Cornice program and TLR package, as well as his highly impactful papers published in the journals of ecological monograph and science. Eric worked very hard since his young age, that's closely linked with his great achievements in scientific work. The photos on the right is shared by his daughter Maria Grimm. We also reviewed some moments of his life from his Facebook posts. He's a loving husband and father, also loved fishing and concerned about the fate of his country. During last year's election, he seemed very happy with the election result. Unfortunately, he left his country forever. Now, coming to my topic, here's the outline. I'm going to introduce this ongoing study following simple outline, starting from introduction and questions, material, methods, preliminary results, and further work. The picture on the right is lovely flower of Nymphoides peltata. It's pollen in the middle. Speaking of Nymphoides, we know it's one of the most diverse and widespread floating leafed groups. There are 50 species worldwide, but most of species restricting to a single continent or even to a local geographical region. Some recent regional taxonomic treatment still exist, but no new comprehensive treatment worldwide. The beautiful flower shown on the right. Also, I investigated these species paleontologically. Previous studies on pollen morphology have been reported. One of impressive paper is published in early 1980s by Blackmore and Heath. We can see pollen class is trisyncopulate with aperture of ectoapertures, and ornamentation shows straight to regulate, and the polyphase is triangular. Some previous studies on pollen foliation have also been reported as well. The first one is reported by Nielsen in early 1970s. Pollen foliation is all species of Nymphoides. And another interesting study reported by Hadachi on the styler polymorphism, interplay, and incompatibility system in Nymphoides montana, that's endemic species to Southeast Australia. We can see short style and long style corresponding with two different sculpture patterns. This is striate and this is regulate pattern. I'm going to ask myself about the questions on how many pollen sculpture patterns in this genus. As we see, nymphoid pollen have diverse sculpture, including microagenate and regular striate regulate patterns from indica and peltata type. Another question to ask is there any link between styler dimorphism and pollen sculpture patterns? Lastly, I want to ask myself about fossil pollen assignment. Needed to consider pollen stratification evaluation or not. So we should be careful about fossil pollen assignment in terms of evaluation. And this is material and methods. In this study, 5 species plus 2 different geographical populations from Nanjing and Beijing, and stereotypes are investigated for pollen morphology, including MP, peltata, and indica, hydrophyllum, NCO, and crenata. The photos on the right show some flowers of this specimen. On the material and methods, fresh answers were treated with standard acetylysis, and the acetylized pollen are mounted in slides for light microscopic imaging with 100 oil objective, and the measurements for pollen dimensions with image J. SEM is used to examine high-resolution pollen sculpture patterns. This is geometric measurements with image J. This is preliminary results. Now, I show some results first on the polymorphs and sculptures based on light microscope. Scopic images. 3 pollen types can be groups. Types can be grouped. Let's indica type with 3 species. NH, these 3 species, the first group. And the second group is crenata type, including 2 species. And last one, just including 1 species, but with short style. SEM pollen sculpture patterns. We can see microagenate with 3 species, including Nymphoides, Coreanum, indica, hydrophyllum. And the second group is crenata and peltata. We can see the striate sculpture pattern, irregular striate to regulate pattern. And the third group is only 1 species with short style. That's peltata type. The sculpture pattern show irregular but a little bit variation between two populations. Now let's look at a close look at intraspecific pollen sculpture variation, Nymphoides peltata. We see style dimorphism. It's interesting to find that such style dimorphism corresponds well to different pollen sculpture patterns. The left flower show long style, and the right one show short style. This is the height of answer with yellow dashed line. And pollen sculptures show striate and regulate respectively. In the case of Nymphoides indica, also we found intraspecific pollen variation, but it's not linked with stylar polymorphism. It's about geographical populations. This is Nanjing indica, and this is Beijing indica. We can see different dense of microegnate, and also different shape, different lengths of egnate. And let's look close to Nymphoides pollen dimensions. We measured lengths of A, B, and C. A is the side of pollen, this side. The length of side A. This is the height of B. This is the height of C. We can see this group agree well with pollen sculpture-based classification according to lengths of ABC, lenses of ABC. And the second group, we can see, second and third group, we can see also clearly it can be divided in two groups in terms of lenses of A. And another in terms of B, the height of B, we also can see two groups, but a little bit overlaps in the case of NCO. But the last group, we cannot find any difference between them, among them, in terms of the height of C. In case of Incircle, regarding Incircle area, the circle area of all pollen types overlaps except one species isolated. That's Nymphoides peltata with long style. It seems that the Incircle area is a good key to peltata, but for pollen from short style type, it doesn't work very well. In this case, it overlaps. From this diagram, we can see exine thickness, this exine thickness of two species, partly isolated from the others. And NCO seems has a thicker, this NCO thicker exine than other species, but overlaps a lot with peltata. Put length of side A, thickness of C, and circle area S in this 3D graph. We can see overlaps of some species, but Nymphoides peltata with short style is isolated from the other. This agrees quite well with pollen sculpture-based classification. I don't have deep discussion or conclusion here, but some brief discussion points and a summary. First, based on diverse pollen sculpture patterns, 3 pollen types can be grouped. That's indica type, including 3 species, and peltata, including 1 species, and crenata type, including 2 species. And we found also high pollen variation in Nymphoides. The first one reported by Hadachi about stylo dimorphism and pollen polymorphism. And in this study, we examined detailed about stylo dimorphism and pollen morphology. In the case of indica, geographical population, different population show different pollen sculpture under SEM, but under light microscope, it's not so obvious variation can be seen. So we need some further work before any conclusions on evolutionary interpretation only based on pollen morphological data. So we need to investigate more pollen specimen based on phylogenetic trees of this genus. Then try to obtain molecular data in the nearest future. Finally, put pollen in the phylogenetic tree. Thank you for your attention. If any questions, please email me or messenger me at Twitter or Facebook or WeChat. You also can find my website here. Thank you.